you know, printer here is .6, server is .5 with the same network address. And then now my router should have a gateway interface of, I'm going to type that out, 192.168.10, the same network address, .1. So I'm going to use one, I'm going to make that one .1. So that'll be my gateway to my going out to the internet within the LAN side. Okay. And then this will be your WAN side. So in this case, this will be a LAN side. Type LAN, which is local area network side. And then the one side will be the one coming from the ISP. So this will be the one side, which is the wide area network that connects to the internet, which hopefully would have a public IP address. Okay. So private IP address within our LAN, and then public IP address on the interfaces that faces the outside world. So it can be routable. Okay. And that's going to depend on what the ISP wants to give us. Okay. An access point, let me assign an IP address here as well. I'm going to give a nice IP address of 192.168.10.2. Since it happens to be a wireless router, I'm going to make it .2. Slash, obviously /24 as well. Okay. Great. So now that all these guys who just have more or less dynamic IP address, and we also want to indicate where the IP range to start from and end at, since it's just a small organization. So in that case, I want to make all my clients, all my workstations to have a 192 to start from 192.168.10.100, so you start from 100 and go all the way to 192.168.10.200. So we have 200 IP that we can allocate, and all of this /24, obviously /24, all of that. Okay, and this will be provided via a DHCP server that we will configure on our server instead of our router. Okay, so this is our design layout. It's our design plan. So once you have this put together, then you can save it as an image or whatever, and then add it to your proposal when it comes to doing your presentation to the client. So you can convince him that, okay, this is the design, it's a proper design that he probably needs for his office. And then he'll try and see if he agrees on a design layout, then he'll give you the go ahead to actually start putting together a budget, for it. And even from this, you can also generate a budget, because you know that you're going to need a server, a printer, a switch, a router, an access point. And then depending on the number of employees that he or she would want to have in the office, and if they all need machines as well, then that would factor in the number of computers or PCs or laptops, whatever, that you're going to be needing to add to the budget. Okay, so with this, obviously, you've been able to identify some key devices, just a rough idea of what kind of devices and what other schemes you're going to want to incorporate within your design itself. Okay, when you're physical, the actual production system itself. At the ISP's end, it all boils down to the contract agreement between the owner of the business and then the ISP, in this case, Vodafone. So if it's going to be a fiber optic link coming in, that's great. Or it's going to be an ADSL link, that's great. Fire, copper line, or whatever, that's great. And then you basically determine you sign up and pick up or the package that you want. It's gonna be a monthly subscription or whatever it is, or just buying package as and when you need it, which is in terms of pay as you go or prepaid. It all boils down to that. So that's how a negotiation has to be done between the owner of the business and then the ISP, because that's a bill that's going to be recurrent on a monthly basis that you, the engineer, don't have to worry yourself with. So just make sure you just initialize the negotiation between the client and then the ISP, and then whatever they agree on, you just they sign it, they activate it, and it's good to go. So once it gets activated, and then the ISP, the Vodafone, comes around to hook up their connectivity into your router, you can just allow them to hook it up, and then you take the configuration from there, and then basically figure out how you want to handle internet connectivities to all these other devices that are within your internal network. Okay, guys. So with this, we got a good estimate, a good plan of how we want to set up our network for our clients. Okay. Now from here is where when you get there, after you do your presentation to your boss. So anyway, you can save this as an image file. So save file, save as. Okay. Just save as. Then you have the options to pick it either as ideally you go to file and then save export. Sorry, I say export, and then you can export as an image, which is a PNG file or JPEG or whatever. The drop downs are here. Depending on which one you want to pick, either a diagram, JPEG, or PNG. JPEGs are right over JPGs. Right over here, a TIFF file, whatever. So just the file images formats are all over here. Whichever one you want, you go for. Ideally, go with a PNG because it's much well compressed. So it's a smaller file, not a big file with so much heavy size to it. So just click Save As, and then it will give you the. I'm going to save it as let me try saving it. So at least I have, I'm going to use small client, small b, business client dot PNG. And then obviously it's going to be saved, and you can create a new folder for it. Create a new folder. Within pictures, I want to use business. Okay, so I have a business file created, enter, and then I'll save it inside that. So save, export it. Okay, so now you can see the image over here. You can go back to your files and then go to pictures, business, and this is it right here. Let's see. Okay, so this is it right here. So you see what we drew? That's what it looks like. So this is what you add to your presentation file, your proposal document as the design layout for your client. We good. So you have this, and then you can, like I said, use it for your design proposals. Okay. So we got that in place. Okay, so now after this, then when you get the approval, the go ahead from the for the someone has their hands raised. Okay. I have Benjamin. Do you have a question for me? So I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, can you take it again? How you do the savings?
So what is saving?
Can you please take it again? I didn't get how you saved this.
Oh, the saving, right? Save it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So okay. So to save this as an image, you have to export it. So under File, you go to Export. Don't click Save, Save As. Click on Export. And then you would have the PNG format, and then type the name, give it a name, whatever. Obviously, don't leave it with the default name, the diagram one. Change the name to whatever, and then if you want to incorporate into a different folder, that's up to you. Wherever you save it, it should basically be saved. But it's usually going to be saved within your picture folder on your computer for folder structure. Okay, and then once you done, just hit save. So it will save as an image for you. Okay. If you don't like the PNG format, you can always click the drop down and then pick what you call it. Let's say I want to use JPEG instead. Okay. I want to use JPEG instead, and then the same file name. And what was it? It was small business client, and then save. So once again, if you go to that file, you will see it in there. So on the business file, what did I say? Okay, it got saved in the here instead, should have been in this folder. Okay, so now so you have the two. One is in PNG format, and then one is in this is JPEG actually, so it's JPEG format, and then this is in a PNG format. Okay. So you got both formats that you can use. Someone is asking me a question. I'm not using Cisco Packet Tracer yet. I'm just using the diagram application. We'll get to the Cisco Packet Tracer later, right after this one. Okay. So Frank, we're not at Cisco Packet Tracer yet. We are just using diagram here. Okay. Don't jump the gun yet. Are we good? So anyway, these are the files. So like I say, it all boils down to which one you prefer. Fori, yours not showing because you don't even know where you saved it at. So go look at where the file saved at. Where was saved, which folder? It's going to be in your picture. So look in your picture files or folders. It'll be in there. That's where it's saved at. Okay? Like I said, use export. Don't save that. Just use export. So pay attention. I said file, export. Don't click on save as. Click export. You want to export this image or this diagram to an image format. So use that instead. So for it, that's it. That should answer your question. Okay. So once you're done with this, then now you try to simulate. This is where we move on to the packet tracer part, where we try to simulate it. Just simulate our design in a virtual environment to see how well they would actually add up to more or less a production system. You know, and this is where your Cisco Packet Tracer comes into place. So your Cisco Packet Tracer is a simulator where you can simulate a network, an entire network within a virtual environment to see what kind of issues or what kind of a response you're going to be getting before you actually carry the configuration onto the actual physical production system or production implementation, which is basically on the ground itself in the office space or the office environment. You want to simulate it first. So as a network engineer, always plan, simulate before you go to the field to do the actual installation. Okay? The simulation here helps you debug your design from the onset. Okay? And then once you debug it nicely, then you know, okay, it's good to go. You've covered all the bases. You've covered all of your debug issues, your bug issues, your challenges. You've covered, addressed them nicely. Okay? So then it's the job of the Cisco Packet Tracer to help you with that. So we basically want to now bring all of this into a simulation design. Okay? And so that's what we call into the packet tracer, Cisco Packet Tracer. Now, the Cisco Packet Tracer is a really cool application, which happens to be a simulator. And it's proprietary, owned by Cisco. Technically, it wasn't owned by Cisco. It wasn't Cisco that built it originally. It was built by third party originally. And then Cisco realized it was very, very good. So they bought it from the developer, and then they added their name to it, Cisco Packet Tracer. Originally, it was just Packet Tracer until Cisco bought it and added their name to it. Then it became Cisco Packet Tracer. I think the key reason why Cisco bought it was because the design incorporated most of the Cisco network devices, all the various series that they have for their routers, their switches, their VPN routers, layer 2 switches, layer 3 switches, firewalls, and what have you. They liked it so much that they had to buy it. Okay, great. So now we want to basically now bring this design here into our simulation environment. Okay, so to start out with, let's start with our switch. Oh, now, okay, before me just show you some of the key things that you want to look out for within the Cisco Packet Tracer simulator. Obviously, you do have your basic file options, your tabs for the various application file menu options that you have. All the basic ones are here. The key ones are the ones down here. Okay, ones down here are the most important one. This is where you find your devices, and if you place your cursors on them, it will give you the names that you need. So one of them over here is the router. So all the routers that falls within Cisco network devices, well, not all of them, most of them are shown up over here, not the current one, just the most widely used ones are all shown up over here. From your 400 series or 4300 series, 1900 series, 2900 series, 2800 series, 1800 series, the 800 series, 1200 series, and what have you. They're all shown up over here. So these are your Cisco routers. Okay. And then the second icon is the switches. And these are your more or less your Cisco switches. You have the 2900 series for layer 2s. Then you have your 3500 series and 3600 series for layer 3s. And then some other 2900 series as well. Okay, so some of the key switches are over here. The second one are hubs, which today most people don't use, so let's forget about those. We do have our wireless devices. Oh, Miraki's are here. So you have the Miraki wireless routers are also over here. Access points, your cell towers, blah, blah, blah. They are all shown up over here. So these are your APs. And then your security devices, your security appliances, which are more or less routers with firewall embedded into them. So these are your ACEs, your ASA 5500 series are all over here. And then the last one is the WAN or the internet emulator. So you have your cloud, either via generic cloud base or from ADSL or cable. If you were to be living in the US region where they use cable, if you live in Ghana, we have ADSL, and then obviously your generic ones, either via radio or just fiber optic links, whatever. Okay, so these are the key ones you're gonna be needing. Okay, great. So let's start out with mounting, or basically bringing or putting all of this into our productions, into our simulation system. So switches first. I'm going to use the 2960 switch. So the same thing, you pick it, you drop it. For routers, I'm going to use, I like the 1800, no, the 1900 series. So that's it over here. That's our router. Oh, the computers are here, network devices from computers, they're all the way PCs, laptops, servers, they're all the way here. So those are the other option that you have for the network device that you want to use. So for server, that's my server over here. And then we need a printer, right? There had to be a printer involved in the design. So this is my printer here. And then I did have 5 PCs. And 2 laptops. And then we had an access point, right? A wireless access point, which were on where was it? It was on the cloud, no firewalls. Okay. So our wireless APs are right over here, and I was using an AP. This is a regular AP. A regular AP. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this guy over here. So this for our wireless devices or wireless connectivities. Place this close by here, and just place the wireless above right over here. And let me move this way up. Okay, so we have pretty much this for then the cloud. Let's pick up a cloud. Let's pick up an empty cloud, generic cloud for now. So this is your Vodafone connection. Okay, so we got pretty much all of our devices over here. The router, I was actually supposed to use a firewall. Okay, so let me put the firewall over there. Okay, just go with this for now. You can always opt for whatever. Okay, just use generic, one of the basic routers. Even though on this we're using a firewall, I'm just using a regular router over here. So it's up to you how you want to go about it. You can opt for the firewalls or the regular routers. Okay, so now with this setup, we need to connect them. And here are your cables. Your cables are under the flash icon, which is connections. This is where you see all of the various cables. We have your console cables. If you put your cursor on it, it will show you that the name up here. Straight through cable, crossover cable, fiber optics, your phone cables, your coaxial cables, your serial DCEs and your serial DTEs. And then you have other cables as well. But the key ones are these guys over here. These are mostly for serial connection, which today are not very common. Most network devices don't use serial interface anymore. So it's very rare that you see devices having serial interfaces or using these serial connections. It's mostly these 3 main ones, either your straight through, crossover, or fiber optics. Okay, guys. So now I'm going to open up the floor again for you guys, and I'm going to ask some simple questions. If I want to connect the access devices, the server, printer, your PC's laptop, to the switch. What kind of cable termination am I supposed to use? So that's the question. Which cable termination do I need to connect this PC here to the switch, or this printer here to the switch, or this server here to the switch? What? Calvin wants to answer the question, or what? I'm going to ask you guys to unmute. Okay, guys, answer the question. What is the answer to that question?
Straight through.
Straight through. Why are we using straight through?
They're using straight through because they are unlike devices, and therefore straight through cables used to connect devices which do not operate similarly.
Okay, good. The key word here is unlike devices, devices that are not similar. So in this case, a switch, a router, so a switch to PC unlike. So in this case, a switch to a PC are not similar devices. They are completely different devices. So in that case, you would need to use a straight-through cable. So straight-through cables are meant for devices that are dissimilar or are unlike. They are not the same type. They're not like the same type. Okay. So I'm going to use straight-through now to connect switch. So you click on the switch, and then the internet. Oh, before that. Now the device over here I've got. If you've never really seen a switch before, a Cisco switch before, just double click on the switch, and it will show you an image, the front image of a Cisco 24-port switch with 2 gigabit uplink ports. The 24 ports are purely 10 by 100 capacity in terms of bandwidth. And then the 2 uplinks is where you connect to other switches or routers or whatever. So those are meant for higher gigabit connectivity. So hence they have to have the gig capacity on them. Okay. But the 24 are purely 10 by 100. 100 is the maximum capacity bandwidth they can support. Whereas the 2 uplinks can support up to 1,000 meg or 1 gig. Okay. So this is what a Cisco router, a switch, sorry, a typical Cisco layer 2 switch will look like. The front view will look just like this. If you've never seen it before, keep this in mind. Okay. The router, the same option. Okay. But the back view, where you'd have your network ports and then your serial interfaces, if you do require serial interface. But as I mentioned earlier on, most devices today do not use serial interfaces. So you can always cover them up, okay? We'll get to that later. Okay, so now straight through cable. So you pick up a cable, pick a port, and then connect to a PC. So I'm basically just, connecting my terminated straight through cable from the switch to the PC. That's what I'm doing. Pick a port, connect to the PC's Ethernet interface. All the devices that you have on your network that requires connectivity. I hope you guys are all at least some of you are practicing behind your computers. So at least when this is over, you can go back and do some of these things on your own. You can practice on your own and master the process of actually simulating your network before you actually introduce it into a given network. Okay. And obviously, a switch to a router, the same thing, is straight through because these are also dissimilar devices. They're similar. Okay.